Hey everybody, it's Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. How are you guys? I am excited to be with you today and to bring you a fun project. I am doing Easter treats for the whole week, and the reason I'm doing them so early is that Easter's in the middle of April and I want to give you a chance to figure out what you want to make so that you have time to purchase the items and order from my online store the products that you want. So we are doing a Pez dispenser. Here it is, and I'm going to just go ahead and pull it out of its packaging. So don't mind the noise here. So here are, that's what you get. It's this cute little chick, and Pez's fit inside, obviously. I'm not going to put them in right now because I'm just going to show you how to make it. You can fill your Pez dispenser for your person that you're going to give yours to. But I did want to show you what it is that we are making this for. And it is just a cute little open top box. It has a window in the front so that you can see your little ducky. Isn't it so cute? And I'm sliding him back in, closing my tabs. And you can see the cute window so that you can see him. I have the Happy Easter across this piece right here. And there is a little ducky on this circle that hangs from the ribbon that we tie around the piece. Now this ribbon is our open weave ribbon. It's really beautiful. And I'm using the Easter Friends today. I'm also using the Tasteful Labels dies and the layering circle dies. The layering circle is used to cut out the chick, and then this circle here, the larger of the two out of the Tasteful Labels, we will use after we have cut out and scored our box to cut out that window that we're going to place in the box right there. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'll show you how to put this together. I'm just going to stick him over here in the corner. Hopefully he'll still be in camera. And we'll be ready to go. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm using a piece of pale papaya cardstock, and it is 8 inches by 5.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in my Simply Scored tool. I love this board. It's amazing, and I use it all the time because I love doing 3-dimensional items. So here's the 8 inch, here's the 5.5 inch. So we're going to score on both ends. So on the long side, we're going to score at 1/2 inch, and the long side would be the longer end, which is the 8 inch side. So at 1/2 inch, at 1 3/4 of an inch, and at 6 3/4 of an inch. So we have 3 score marks on the long side. Then we're going to turn it to the short side, okay? And we are going to score at 1/2 inch, we're going to score at 1 3/4 of an inch, at 3 inches, whoops, at 3 inches, slipped out of there a little, and 4 1/4 inches. So again, at 1/2 inch, 1 3/4, 3 and 4 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and put my stylus back in the bottom of my Simply Scoreboard and just put it down here next to me. I'm going to use my bone folder, and we are going to burnish along these edges here. So I'm going to go down the short side first, and we'll do these long strips here. And now we'll do this side. All right. So I have a narrow strip here, and then a bunch, I can't even talk, a bunch of squares. So a narrow strip, a bunch of squares. Then I have these long rectangles, and then another set of squares at the bottom with this one small rectangle. We're going to get rid of this rectangle at the bottom. This is actually the bottom of our box, and I'm going to use a thick bladed scissor. So our paper snips have a very thin blade. When I open, you can see how narrow it is, and it helps us get in two cuts. This one has a thicker blade, and we're going to use a thicker bladed scissor. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with this piece here, and I'm going to cut this piece off. We don't need it. So that's going to go bye-bye. And then at the bottom of the box, we're going to go ahead and cut up until this first score line, because we're going to make the flaps that are going to close the bottom of the box. So I like to cut on either side of the score line to give the box a little bit of room when I layer all of these thick pieces, because our cardstock is fairly thick. So I like to cut on both sides of that score line. And to me, when you glue your pieces together, it kind of separates that tiny hair of cardstock that you cut away there, gives you the room that you need. So there's the bottom of our box. Now this main section here is going to be our box main panel. This main panel here of our box, where the window is going to go. This is the top of our box, and then this is the top flap. Now we're going to cut away this piece, all of these except for this second one, which is going to be our top flap. This is going to be the top of our box, and we need this piece to glue our box together. So we're going to come in here, we're going to get rid of this long piece, just like we got rid of this long piece, and this square that's right above it. We don't need it, so we're going to cut that first. Those are gone. So that was the piece from the bottom, and this is the top. Okay, now this panel here is going to become one of the flaps on the side, but we don't need the one that's above it. And we don't want our flap to be the full size of the top of our box. So I'm actually going to cut in a little bit less than half way in. And then I'm going to get rid of this section here. Okay. So now I have this, and I'm going to go ahead and cut all the way down, because this is the flap of our top of our box. We need the flap to go in. Again, I'm going to cut all the way down. We don't need this panel or this one, so we're going to get rid of it. I'm going to go ahead and cut down and get rid of this one. And then this one, just like we did on this side, I'm going to cut a little bit less than halfway down. And I think I cut that a little crooked. That's okay. There we go. So there's our two flaps. This is our tab that gets tucked in. I'm going to round these corners. So let me put this down, so in case you want to take a screenshot of what it looks like, you can do that while I discard these little extra pieces that we don't need. All right, hopefully you got a screenshot there. I'm going to round these corners. I think it just looks a lot nicer. So I'm gonna actually not round them, I'm gonna angle cut them is what I meant. So I'm gonna grab my same scissor, and I'm just gonna come in here. By doing that, what it does is it allows the box to tuck in a lot easier when you have that little flap in the box. It's a lot neater. So we'll go ahead and do that. Let me go ahead and put it back in case now you want a final picture there of your piece. Go ahead and grab that, a screenshot if you want. All right, so now this is my back. This is my top section here. This is the front of my box. And this is the side. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna show you here, okay? This forms the back of my box. Okay, here's my flaps, and this is my piece. And this is the back because the front is this panel. So since this is going to be the front, the part with the flap here, this is going to be the front. So we are going to cut our circle in this portion of our box. If we want our flap to go this way, then we're going to cut it on this side. So let's go ahead and grab our die here, and we are going to lay it on our circle. Now, what I did was I put my Pez dispenser in this section and I laid it there. Now I tucked my circle behind it because I want to be able to capture most of the chick. It doesn't matter that it doesn't get the tippy top of this point, but you want the face of the chick to show. And by placing your dispenser on top, you'll make sure that you have your ring in a good place for everything to show on your piece. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it right there. I have it even on both sides. I'm gonna just grab some purple tape and I'm going to hold that into place so that when I run it through my machine, it doesn't move. Okay, so let's bring in our machine. Unfortunately, I can't fit this size piece in my mini, so we're gonna use the regular size Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So let's go ahead and grab it. I'm gonna move it into the camera here. All right, I'm gonna put it on an angle and I'm gonna grab my plates. So this is the platform, it's plate number 1. You can see the little 1 there. Then we're gonna put number 2 because we're using the steel dies. So we're gonna put that there. This is the lovely cut into bottom plate, number 3. We're gonna go ahead and place our piece onto there, okay? And then we're gonna put our number 3, our second number 3 on the top of it. So that is what we need. We're gonna go ahead and run it through the machine here. And that will cut our circle. I'm gonna move this out of the way. I'm gonna grab my plates, put them here, close up my machine. That's all the cutting we're gonna do today. I've done the rest of the cutting for you. So we'll put that out of the camera now. And we're gonna go ahead and remove our purple tape. And there is our window. Now this is gonna get discarded. We don't need it. It has bent sides, unless you can think of a way to use that. I have not. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my die away before I lose it. And again, this is from the Tasteful Labels. You get 2 circles in that set of dies. Okay, and you can see how pretty it is. I chose to use it because it also made the outside decorative. So let's go ahead and glue in our window sheet. So I'm gonna grab mine if I can find it. Here we go. And we're gonna go ahead and glue this right here over our circle. Sound good? Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some wet adhesive in a circular motion around that first, because that's the first part that I want it to be glued all around this circle. But I also have to put some of this adhesive behind the rectangle that I've cut out. And my window sheet piece that I have cut out is 2.5 inches by 2. So I'm just gonna slide it into place. That's why I love this glue so much, the wiggle room that it gives me. And I'm just gonna press down, get that to bond with my window sheet here. And while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm just gonna set it off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and adhere these 2 pieces. So this is a piece of Fresh Freesia cardstock, and I have a piece of Pansy Petals. I love this designer series paper. It's really pretty, and I thought that it went well with the spring theme. So we're gonna go ahead and glue this onto our cardstock. So the cardstock is 2 5/8 by 5.5, and the DSP is 2.5 by 5.5. So we're gonna, while this is drying here behind our window sheet and really bonding to our window sheet, I'm gonna put adhesive. I'm gonna grab my silicone mat because I don't want to make a mess. I'm gonna put adhesive on the back of my designer series paper. And you can see the back is a really pretty yellow. I'm getting close to running out of this wet adhesive, so I have to keep it kind of upside down. I have a little votive candle holder that is in my drawer. It's just a glass holder for a votive candle, and I just keep it in there upside down in my drawer. My drawer is deep enough that it can stand up, so it works out well for me. I keep it like this, and that way I always have the adhesive available. So now I'm going to go ahead and lift that up. I'm going to slide my designer series paper to assist me here. I mean my cardstock to assist me with the designer series paper here. And this is the same length, so it's only going to have pieces sticking out at the top and the bottom. And you want them to be about the same. So we will go ahead and press that into place. All right, so there we go. So now we are going to attach this piece around our box. As you can see here, I have a piece of that designer series paper all the way around my cute box, my dispenser box. I am also, while I'm waiting for this to dry, I have stamped my Happy Easter. I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut that out. So we're just gonna go around, and I didn't do the inside of this H earlier, but I'm gonna do it this time. And I have a piece of Daffodil Delight, which is the yellow cardstock that my Happy Easter words are gonna rest on, and I am going to cut those with a punch called Banner's Pick-a-Punch. And I'm going to separate the word Happy and Easter, so they're each going to be individually cut out. And as you can see, I'm just pivoting with my left hand while my right hand, since I'm right-handed, is doing the cutting. And I don't really move my scissor, I'm moving my paper. And by doing that, it allows me access to all the little ins and outs of this word. It gives me something to move around here, like I'm doing here. And there is our word Happy. And then let's do Easter. So we're going to start here. We're going to work our way around it. And the nice thing is, while we do this, our adhesive is sticking to the window sheet. Because the window sheet does not soak in the adhesive, it just has to bond with the slickness of that window sheet. So I do like to give it a little bit of time to bond to the cardstock on the one side and the window sheet on the other. So it's perfect time to do this cutting. Now I've already cut my duck in a circle, and I use my layering circles, and I use the second smallest, not largest, excuse me, the second smallest circle in the layering circle dies. And what I did was I had stamped on a scrap piece of cardstock my duck, and I knew that I wasn't going to be using the whole image of the duck. So it made it easy. I just grabbed a scrap piece and I colored it in with my Stampin' Blends. I used the light and the dark Daffodil Delight. And then I ran, there was my duck, it was colored in, and I put my die on the top, my circle die, on the area that I wanted, which was his head and part of his little wing. And I went ahead and cut out that circle. So this is what's left over. I did want to show you. I colored it all because I didn't know how much it was going to actually need to be cut out, but that is how I cut it out. All right. So let's go ahead and grab my piece of Daffodil Delight. We're going to grab my Banner Pick-a-Punch here, and we are going to use this end right here. And I'm going to cut these two pieces. Don't mind my Yorkie, who is snoring now. She has a heart condition, so when she sleeps, she tends to snore. Okay, we're going to put adhesive on the back of this Happy Easter. And then I'm going to use my tweezers. I have a pair of reverse action tweezers. I absolutely love them. And I hope that Stampin' Up! Is listening to me and will come out with a pair. But for right now, they don't have them. So get a pair of reverse action tweezers anywhere you can find them. I'm going to grab the word Happy first. Let's grab it. And I will attach that onto my banner here. And then we'll do Easter. Don't mind my Yorkie, like I said. She is. I have to move that happy down a little bit. That's the nice thing about this wet adhesive, is you do have that wiggle room to move over if you need to. So there's my Easter. So it says Happy Easter. All right, so there is that part. I also cut another one of the shapes, the same one that I used to cut my window here, in Fresh Freesia, and I'm gonna glue this little duck on top of it. And then I'm gonna punch a hole with just a handheld hole punch. Because it's going to dangle from my ribbon. So let me grab handheld hole punch here. So over here, don't mind all the noise. I have my crocodile, which is what I'll be using. I'm gonna punch a little hole up in this empty section here. And that's where I will string my little duck from. I forgot to pull that out. It looks like our adhesive has bonded quite nicely around our window sheet. So the reason that we wanted to take the time to allow that to happen is because we have to bend it into place. So we are going to score those same score lines. We're going to bend on them, and we're going to bend our window sheet right along those score lines. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So that's why I wanted to make sure that it was nice and attached. And there it is. So let's go ahead. We're going to glue our box together first, and then we'll do the bottom. So this little 1/2 inch strip here that's on the side, we're going to go ahead and put our wet adhesive along that strip. And then we are going to attach this side to it. And we're just going to press it into place. I'm going to use my bone folder to really get that adhesive to bond to my cardstock. All right, so we have our box here. Let's go ahead and put our bottom together. This front flap that's on the front is going to be the last piece I put down. So I'm going to put the sides in first, and I am going to put adhesive on each piece as I press it into place. So we'll go ahead and put a little bit of adhesive. Then I'm going to put my next flap down. I just want to make sure that it definitely bonds in there. So I'm going to go ahead and open this, and I'm going to use my bone folder, the rounded bottom end, and I'm just going to press into the bottom of my box so that that adhesive grabs onto this piece. And now I'm going to go ahead, remember this is the last tab I want to put in, so we're going to put the back in next. And then lastly, the front. Oh, I'm almost out here. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and place that front. The reason I wanted the front last is it gives it this nice rounded effect on the front of my box, and I just think it looks more finished to have that. Again, I'm gonna press in the rounded part of my bone folder in my box and put some pressure in there. All right, so now comes this section, and we want it to wrap around my box. Now it's kind of stiff. So what I want to do is I want to give it a score at the 1/2 inch mark. So I'm going to pull my board back out and my scoreboard, and I'm just going to stick this in, and I'm going to give it a score mark on the 1/2 inch mark, because that's the piece that's going to wrap around. Sorry that my hand's in the way, but there's the 1/2 inch mark. You just want to give it that one little score mark there, okay? Now this section here, we're going to have it wrapped to the back. So We definitely don't want that score mark on the front of our box, so we're going to put it back here. Okay, and then we're going to crease our cardstock where it forms right along there. We're going to do the same thing in the front, so I'm going to rotate my box. And then our last piece, and it should meet right there in the back. Okay, so that forms our pieces. Once I have them, I can go ahead and press them into place with my bone folder, and just make sure that your edges are straight so that your score marks are even. And then our last one. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put our little pansy piece on our box. I'm gonna start with this first strip. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that. I may be at the end of my adhesive. We'll see. Oh no, there's plenty in there. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll start at the back. And I'm just gonna hold that in place for a second. Make sure it really bonds nicely. Just gonna hold it for a minute. It is thick because I have the cardstock with the designer series paper. If you just want it thinner, you can just use the DSP, and it is a little easier to adhere if you just have that one layer. So now I'm gonna pull back and I'm gonna put adhesive on these next couple sections. And I'm gonna leave the last section without any. We'll put that on at the end. But I'm just adding this adhesive along these three sides, and I'm gonna go ahead and lift and bend, turn my box, lift and bend. And now we're on to our last piece, but I'm pressing on the three sides that I have my adhesive on, and I can also take my bone folder here and press down into the box to make sure that those sides are grabbing as well. So I didn't put on this last piece. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that right here on my actual box, because I can see where it's going to lay. And we're gonna go ahead and bond that final piece, and this is on the back. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay my box down, push my bone folder in, get that to grab. Perfect. All right, it's time for my little Pez dispenser to be inserted into the box. And you can see how cute it shows right through there. We're gonna turn our tabs in here. I'm gonna trim these a little bit with my scissors. I'm gonna go ahead and do those little angle cuts like I did on that tab, just to make sure that all these pieces lay nicely. And you may not have to do this on yours, depending on how you went about cutting yours, but it is a nice way to, you know, ensure that your box lays flat. So if you need to do that, go ahead and do that on yours. I'm gonna put my tabs down. Now see, I have room here to slide my tab. So go ahead and slide that in there, and it holds on to that piece, just like that. Now we have our little box put together, our little Pez dispenser inside. Isn't it adorable? I'm gonna go ahead and attach this Happy Easter across this piece here. So I'm just gonna use my wet glue, and I'm gonna just deposit some of it right along there, which is where it is going to be put on here. Put my Happy Easter right there. And I kind of like it angled, so I do have it a little bit on an angle. If you want yours straight, you can straighten it. Now I have my piece of fresh freesia opened weave ribbon, and then I have this piece, which is part of the Essentials twine pack. You get gray, black, white, vanilla, and crumb cake. And this is a vanilla piece. I didn't want it to be quite stark white, so I used the vanilla, and I'm gonna grab my two ends here I am going to make a knot here in the end of them. Hopefully I'll be able to stick it through that hole that I've made. And pull it through. Sometimes I wish I had a crochet hook, right? Oh my fingers sometimes are too big for this, this part of the project, but we're gonna make it happen. Just give me a second. Let me do it this way. That way I can push them right onto that spot one at a time. And hopefully I will get them through. This could be the hardest part of the whole project, right? I'm gonna use my, or my tweezers here and grab those ends. And there's one of them. Let me see if I can grab the other one and pull it through. There we go. Now I can tie it tight. It doesn't really matter what it looks like because it's going to be at the back. So I'm just going to pull that tight. And then I'm going to trim these ends off. So I'm going to just cut those. And then I'm going to pull that knot to the back so that it's in that hole. Okay, so I'm going to bring my ribbon around. I'm going to pull it even. And I'm going to tie a knot. So there's the first loop here. Okay, I'm going to now, with this end, I'm going to hold it and I'm going to put my duck through here, facing forward. All right. And now I'm going to make a loop. And I'm gonna go ahead and tie my ribbon, and my duck is gonna get caught up in there with that little, there we go. So I'm gonna pull on this piece till I get it the size that I'm happy with, and then I'm gonna hold on to that knot and pull my little duck down like so. And when I'm happy with my bow, I'm going to go ahead and leave that. I'm going to grab my ribbon cutting scissors. I have 2 pairs of paper snips. One I use for ribbon and one I use for paper. So I'll just trim those ends. Clean up so you guys can see everything here without all my tools in the way. And here is my cute little Pez dispenser with its ducky inside. I hope that you've enjoyed watching me make this. Again, the main piece of pale papaya was 8 inches by 5.5, and I scored the long at 1/2 inch, 1 3/4, and 6 3/4. The short side at 1/2 inch, 1 3/4, 3 4 1/4. My cardstock piece was 2 5/8 by 5.5, which was the fresh freesia, and the DSP that went over the top was 2.5 by 5.5. My window sheet was 2.5 by 2, and I just used scrap paper for my fresh freesia circle, and my white paper, also scraps for my Daffodil Delight and my Happy Easter. So those are all the measurements you need. The ribbon is probably about 20 inches so that I had a nice long bow, but you can tie yours whatever length or size that you wish. If you want your ends shorter, you can make your ribbon shorter. And I think that's everything. If you have any questions, please comment below. Definitely share my video. I love to get my videos in the hands of other people. It helps me bring you more things to my channel. Thank you again for watching. Definitely head out to my blog, Inky Hands Warm Hearts. It is linked in the description below, as are all the products that I use to make this project, where you can click the links and purchase them from my online store. I appreciate having you with me, and thank you again for watching and putting up with my Yorkie, who is snoring through this entire video. I thank you again for watching. This is Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. Happy stamping!